Millions of Texans may be able to leave their IDs at home when they vote in this midterm election. Thursday, a U.S. district judge blocked the Texas voter ID law. The judge ruled the law deprives men and women, especially minorities, of the right to vote. The law went into effect last year. It requires voters to bring one of 7 forms of identification to vote. KFDM's Lauren Huet spoke with a Republican and a Democrat candidate to get their views on the ruling and the impact on voters.
Dade Phelan has been preparing for the November elections. He's a Republican candidate for the Texas House of Representatives. Phelan says the U.S. District Judge's ruling blocking the Texas voter ID law is purely political.
This was actually decided in Shelby County versus Holder this past year. The Supreme Court decided this law was constitutional from start to finish.
He says it's no coincidence the ruling came days before early voting.
It was no doubt calculated to create havoc in this election and to make certain this ruling could have been made weeks, if not months prior, and wait until 10 days before early voting was very calculated, absolutely.
I think it was just up on that docket. I would go out on a limb and say that they didn't do this particularly because it was time to start voting.
Thomas Segee is the Democratic candidate for Jefferson County tax assessor collector. He says the voter ID law makes it more difficult for people, especially minorities, to vote.
If you want to vote and you can't get it through the EIC card, then you are disenfranchised even though you're trying to get the card and you can't get it because of time constraints. So yes, that would disenfranchise people.
The ID is free. It can be expired up to 60 days. If you're disabled, you can be exempt from the law. If you don't have your ID, you can vote provisionally and come back within 6 days and show your ID and have your vote count.
In her ruling, the U.S. District Judge likens the law to a poll tax.
I think it's an important victory for all voters. You know, democracy is important when everybody has the opportunity to participate.
Entergy will not turn your electricity on without an ID. It requires identification is required for everything, and voting is a very sacred privilege, and it should be required for that as well.
A debate that may not be resolved before early voting begins. In Beaumont, Lauren Huet, KFDM 6 News.
The Texas Attorney General's office says it will appeal the judge's decision. Early voting begins October 20th.